Is Ford Motor Company developing technology that not only spies on you by telling cops if you are speeding, but this technology, can it also determine if people around you are speeding? Apparently so. Now, I usually do more scripted, completely edited out videos where we go over legal concepts, but this was an article that was sent to me that I thought was pretty shocking, and it actually goes along with exactly some of the videos I've done recently related to FedEx and flock safety, also having to do with essentially creating a nationwide surveillance system. And it's shocking. And not only that, but the infrastructure bill that I'm going to spend some time talking about that and how all this ties together, but it's true. And in fact, there's this article here written by Siddharth Dudeju, and I'm going to give you, if you actually go down into the notes section of the video here, you can reference the specific articles that were written, but I'm going to give you an overview of this and how shocking this is. So future Ford cars might detect speeding cars while you're driving, yourself and others, and then report them directly to the police based upon the Ford Motor Company requesting a patent that was just recently approved, allowing them to do this. So think about this. Here you are, you're driving, maybe you're speeding a little bit, and now all of a sudden, the technology within your car can report it to the police because Ford will now know about it. And then we'll talk about who else it might report to. Is it going to report to your insurance company? I mean, who else is going to know about this stuff? And can this stuff be purchased? Who else is it going to be shared with? Your life insurance company? Name all of the different examples of where it creates this risk profile of you. Sounds very similar to me to the social credit score system in China. As we continue to develop this out, it's becoming a little dangerous when you begin to think about it and how far-reaching it can be. But let's walk through the rest of this. The technology, of course, it sounds like something that comes out of a dystopian future world, right? But it's right in place right now. So they filed for this patent. I'm going to walk you through what it says. Originally filed in January of 2023, but it was just recently approved. The name of it's called this technology is titled Systems and Methods for Detecting Speeding Violations. Now, the United States Patent Office, Patent and Trademark Office, just approved this on July 18th, 2024. Okay, so it was just approved recently. So now Ford can actually begin to develop this because they know they have it protected. So what are they going to do? Well, in this, the Ford Motor Company discusses, as part of their patent, they discuss the fact they want to use cars to monitor each other's speeds. This is what's part of the actual, if you go in and look at the application they had with the U.S. Patent Office, their goal is that if one car detects that a nearby vehicle is being driven above the posted speed limit, it could use onboard cameras, check this out, to photograph that vehicle, and a report containing both the speed data and the specific images, actual images captured by your own car that's supposed to help you be able to navigate your vehicle, that essentially Ford Motor Company is going to be able to use this tech to hijack those cameras, take pictures of other people, let's say it's a targeted vehicle that's driving by you, and now take a picture of it and send that directly to a police car. And here's what it says. If you go read the actual application for the patent, that it would send it to a police car or roadside monitoring unit via an internet connection. So imagine it'll locate the nearest cop and say, hey, this person's speeding, go get him, right? Now, this is kind of shocking that this would even want to be developed, but I just want you to understand what we're doing here. We're essentially saying that we're going to tattletale on each other, and there's going to be a nationwide network. This goes right back into creating an American, like a surveillance state. That's part of what would be happening here, okay? So using vehicles for speed surveillance would make cops' jobs easier, according to Ford, as they wouldn't have to quickly identify speeding violations and take off in pursuit, which is theoretically correct. And so they're claiming they're doing this for all of our community, right? For everybody. But it also seems that some of the work could be delegated to self-driving cars, which could be equipped to detect speeding violations as well. So remember, all these automakers are making these they're trying to move towards self-driving vehicles. But in the process of doing that, these self-driving vehicles are surveillance systems that are watching everything you do in your vehicle and anything else that might be going on. If you're parked somewhere, it could be recording it. It could be sending that information directly to the police. Now, here's the key. I'm going to talk about this for a minute. This is very unclear how this legal argument that they would make. I'm less concerned about how they would be able to actually prove this in court because I don't think they could. I mean, think about this. The legal argument would be very difficult for them to implement this tech. How is this going to come into evidence? First of all, they have to authenticate it. Human police officers would not actually be witnessing the alleged crime. Okay. And there's really two ways to be able to tell if someone's speeding. One is your vehicle has to be pacing another vehicle. So if an officer does this without using the radar unit, they're actually having to pace you. They have to be able to look down, see exactly how fast they're driving, and look over and be able to show that the other person was driving beyond that limit, that speed limit. May be difficult to do with this tech here. And who's the witness? There's no witness being able to say that it was witnessed, that there was an actual crime took place here, an actual speeding violation took place, unless they want to try to call you because it was your car. I mean, think about this for a second. So part of what they're going to do is this, being able to show that there was an actual witness to the alleged speeding behavior would be difficult. Speed cameras already provide stationary enforcement of speed limits, but they can only issue tickets based upon vehicles' license plate numbers because they can't confirm who is driving. It's exactly the same problem here. So there could be somebody else. You could have your kid driving your car, speeding down the road, but you end up getting sent that speeding ticket, right? So imagine my car spies on your car. It sees you speeding down the road, all for what? Now all of a sudden you get the ticket, but it was your kid or someone else driving your car. It's going to be very difficult to be able to actually authenticate and create an identifier of who's driving the car. So we talk about the legal side of this. Ford has also tried to patent a, quote, night drive mode that would limit vehicle speeds at night. Here's a crazy one. Now think about this. Ford will they are going to allow their AI tech to take over control of your vehicle. That's what they're looking to do here. And here's what it does. It will allow this to happen, including for first responders. This takes things a bit further by turning drivers into potentially unwitting snitches. So that's what happens. Your vehicle now acts as an agent for the state, where your vehicle is able to witness or surveil on other people, and that information sent to the police. And that's part of the tech that Ford Motor Company applied for. And I'm trying to understand this, why they would do this, right? Understand, and I'm going to get into where I think the tie-in comes in very clearly here in a second. But Ford regularly files patent applications for new car tech, not all of which make it to production. But if you want to look at this, if we dive a little bit deeper into the technicalities of this, it appears that Ford came up with this way to try to report speeding police cars to speeding cars to the police, and they use your 360-degree cameras in order to do that. So that's what they're using here. Now, what I want to know is, here's where I think this is going to be tied in. Here's the part where I think is really important. It may be a research project for now. Okay, that's what some people are calling it. They say, well, why do you care? This is nothing more than a research project. Perhaps. But they're not going to spend the time filing for this patent and this tech unless they have some plans of incorporating it into their future vehicles. Now, why do I think all this matters? Well, if you go, I did a video recently, and many of you have, I'm sure, seen this from myself and others that are out there that have talked about this. FedEx, that we know this for a fact, FedEx, Kaiser Permanente, and other large companies are now partnering with Flock Safety. Flock Safety, their whole goal, if you go look them up on their website, is to create a nationwide surveillance program. That's the plan, by making our communities safer. The problem is, right now, Flock Safety is hijacking. I say hijacking. It's a partnership. They've agreed to do it. Where FedEx is going to allow them to use their cameras, and that information can be shared to the cops. So cops can see anything that a FedEx driver can see as far as cameras go and their data. And cops can share their information with FedEx if they choose to do so. And we spent some time talking about how this is a problem because technically they could be labeled a state actor. But I want to go even deeper on this. I want you to know about the 2021 Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. It now requires, and I did a video on this about a year ago, and I'm going to give you an update on this now. It requires cars built after 2026 to implement systems to passively monitor the driver's performance for the purpose of detecting drunk driving. Now, basically, HR 3684, Section 24220, tells us that that in order to do this, by the way, they've already passed the law. It's already in effect. That essentially all new cars built 2026 and beyond have to have an alcohol detection device, which it actually can read it from your hands. So when you touch your vehicle, that actually it can detect if there's any alcohol in your system at all. And what will it do? It will actually shut down your vehicle and make it where it's unable to start, similar to like interlock ignition switches that exist now. You can blow into an interlock device and it'll cut you off now. But even more than that, now, if you're driving and it detects anything, it will actually slow down your vehicle and it can actually bring your vehicle over to a stop. Now, look, why do I bring these two things up? Because I don't believe it's a coincidence that Ford is filing for a patent for this approach to share information with the police when we have an infrastructure bill that basically puts in place that all motor vehicle companies must use this technology moving forward. And we already know, in fact, on my Navigator that I drive right now, when I get in it, you know what it says? It tells me I got a notification just recently, not that long ago, from Ford, because Ford produces Lincolns, that told me that my data from my driving data is now being shared. It didn't tell me where, it's not telling me where it's being shared, but for all I know, this activity either could already be taking place. Who are they sharing it with? Are they sharing it with my insurance company? Is my insurance company now negotiated with Flock Safety so that Flock Safety as a partner can now work with Ford Motor Company and FedEx and all the rest of them? The point I'm making is this: watch out for this. This is a big deal. You need to continue to be watching to see what other types of relationships between private businesses and the government, they continue to work hand in hand. And of course, what's the end result? The end result is that we end up losing our rights. We lose our privacy rights. And in this case, it's pretty nefarious, using a big word there, is to say we become basically an agent of the state. We are being exploited for the sake of the state in order to be able to share this information with everybody. So I'm going to give you, down in the notes, I want you to take a look. You'll see the two articles. I want to give credit to supercarblondie.com and motorauthority.com. These came hot off the press. They just came out. This information was shared, and I thought I would share it with you because their goal is to detect speeding at first, to maybe help the cops. But let me ask you this: where does it stop? Pretty soon they can sell that information to other people. And by the way, if you want to know more about that infrastructure bill, I want you to check out this next video. I'm going to put this over here as an end screen for you to click and check out, because on this video, I break down that infrastructure bill. I talk about how ultimately it could be tied to a social credit score system similar to China, where people are able to track this stuff and determine your risk in terms of insurance and other things. So if you'd like to learn more about that, check that out on this video. But check out these articles. I'm going to tell you, we're going to see more and more of this to come.